Nowadays, we're continuously on the road and busy. And being busy and active is alright as long as you treat yourself to breaks and intentional pauses. Because it is the deliberate change in rhythm that actually makes a break work. And that's also where the difficulty lies. Because when have you last taken a real break? And with a real break, I mean a break when you were not constantly checking your mobile phone or being distracted by messages, but just a real break where you didn't have the feeling that you had to be productive, where you didn't constantly keep yourself busy. Intentionally pausing has a lot of positives. It's a way of balancing out our stressful everyday lives, and it gives your body a chance to regenerate and to really recharge its batteries. So that is very useful for your health. It also gives us a sense of perspective. So after breaking, you will notice that you'll be able to see both the woods and the trees. So this is really a sense of balance that you're getting out of that break. And intentionally pausing also makes us much more creative, which seems counterintuitive because what most people do whenever they've got a difficult, complex problem is that they try to soldier on and really persevere, whereas a break would be so much more effective because whenever you break, some magic happens in your brain. And you actually find that you were able to see a solution to a problem you didn't know you had before. That is at least what happens to me whenever I go to my yoga course. And whenever I come back from that class, I feel so inspired and I see all kinds of new solutions just because I intentionally paused. The two positive emotions that are particularly connected to pausing are serenity and inspiration. And serenity is perhaps one of the lesser known positive emotions. It's a sort of tranquility when everything seems balanced. So I often feel like that when I go for a long walk in the woods, that I feel this sense of balance, but also after I've done a couple of yoga exercises. And this is also when the second positive emotion that's often linked to pausing, inspiration, kicks in. Now, that may seem like magic, but there is actually brain research that shows how this works. So according to engineering professor Barbara Oakley, our brains are actually in a focused mode of thinking when we're actually working on something. So this is when we use the prefrontal cortex, which is a certain part of the brain. When we pause, however, we enter a diffuse thinking mode. So this is when the mind is free to wander, and without us knowing it, unconsciously, it is able to access different parts of the brain. So it can form connections between different parts. And this is exactly the reason why, without you being aware of it, our brains actually continue working on certain problems when we're in pause. And then all of a sudden you realize, hey, I've just found the solution because your brain was able to access different parts of the brain. So since I've known about the two different kinds of modes of thinking, the diffuse and focused mode of thinking, I've found myself pausing way more often, and I'm really eager to pause, particularly when I've got a difficult client situation or I've got to write a proposal. And I've noticed that because I'm pausing more, actually the quality of work has increased, but I'm also able to get more done despite the pauses, or probably because the pauses. The experiments, most people intuitively know what works really well for them to take a deliberate break. So what works well for you? This week, write down 3 ideas that work really well and try to add a little bit more pause to your week, particularly when the going gets tough. Enjoy pausing.